Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm truly grateful for those who felt led to subscribe. I am happy for your support and it's greatly appreciated. On the last video I promised to explain a little bit about who I am. And that's an interesting question because I realize that I'm an individual that has different versions of myself, and I'm sure in the future I'll be a different version of myself than I am today. So I'll explain a little bit about who I was and fast forward to who I am today. So take a look at who I think I was. Hi, so I started this piece on the floor. Reason being, in my earlier years, I didn't know who I was. This young lady you see before you today was a young lady who hid behind her talents for years. I recall in my teenage years, I would be the persons come to for advice. They'll be in the debating team and they say, Ty, what do you think of this concept? What do you think of that concept? I would have the answer. I would help to research. I will support, but I would not go and join a team. I will not join and be a part of athletics. I will not join and be a part of the theater production group because I was so fearful. I was always hiding. I was in a low place. A very low place, and I was always hiding. Nothing that anyone could have done to pull me out of that place of hiding. I also noticed that I found a way of escape through dancing. Now for me, as a Neufville, I could not go to the parties or dance because my father wouldn't allow it. He's a very principled man. Plus I have the reputation of a Neufville if you're from my community. What I realized was that passion, because it was so much in me, I naturally danced at home. So all the reggae music, all the R&B, I'll be dancing. I'll ask my brother when the music list is coming on in the morning and I'll have fun. It was my way of escape. It was my way of finding peace, finding relaxment. However, after the dancing, after such moments of joy, I'll go back into hiding, I'll go back into fear, I'll go back into my place of frustration. And so along my journey, somewhere along my journey, the Lord met me and elevated me out of my bondage. I'll continue, but this time I'm no longer in a low place. Thanks be to God. Welcome back. So now that you have seen who I think I was, who the adversary told me I was, I came on the pathway of meeting my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Now this is an interesting story because I remember the day as if it was yesterday. My mom was in the United States. I was back home with my dad and my brother, and my dad was driving to the store. So we were in the car and we were driving along, and for some reason I felt empty. I felt felt so drained. I can't explain it. I just felt empty. And I realized something was wrong. I realized something was wrong. And while in the car, I remember mentioning to my dad, Daddy, what if I got saved? He kind of didn't really pay me much attention. It was just a thought that came to me. And I remember being in the car, it was so overbearing, the emotions that I was feeling. And in coming back, I realized that life felt still. My mind felt still. And I realized that I was in trouble. Somewhere internally, I was like, this is not good. I don't think I'm feeling life. I think I'm getting numb, like really numb. And I know this isn't a good sign. I know it takes this. In my mind, I'm like, this is not a good sign. This is not a good sign. So in that place of desperation, I remember I looked up. Never really had a conversation with the Lord before. And I looked up and I said, God, if you be God, save me now. That was it. I said, God, if you be God, save me now. Time passed, I forgot about that statement to the Lord. And, going along my journey, I remember I was in school, and I'm someone who took on the reputation of my parents. So if my mom said she went to this church, I go to that church. And long story short, I eventually got saved, and that process was a long process. I have to explain about my salvation story in detail, because it's very unique. It's very unique. And I got saved. And while getting saved, I remember I spoke to the Lord and I said, Lord, you see me, I can't manage to be a mediocre Christian. I looked at it and I thought about it to say, you have some artists, dancehall artists in the world, and they go all out. They sing the most disturbing music. They are deep into darkness, and they go to the extreme. And I say, God, I respect their principle in the sense of they have made a choice of the direction of their life, and they go out 100%. And I say, God, I say, as for me, and as for you, and as for us, we have to go 100%, because I cannot stand to be in something and it feels like I'm just existing. I know what it's like to be numb and to be in fear. I say, God, we have to go all out. We have to go all out, because it's all or nothing, Lord. Let's just say I was really bold in the Lord's face. I was kind of saying, like, you're not asking me for my commitment and it's just gonna be a ordinary type of life. I'm like, no, I've done ordinary and it's very insipid. So my request to the Lord is we have to go all out. It was such a bold declaration. At that point in time, I really did not care. I really did not care. For me, I know what it's like to be locked in the dungeon of fear, to be crippled, that I didn't care. So for me, in my relationship with God, it's, Lord, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it. Now, of course, everything that you state to the Lord gets challenged, because I remember going through a period of time where the spirit of fear came upon me again, and it felt like, how can I say this? It felt like what God is explaining for me to do, whether it's to encourage someone, whether it's to pray for someone in church, whether it's to complete a specific task, I would fear what man and human beings would say, then go back to my bedside because I have to pray and say, God, forgive me. And somewhere along the pathway of this trend, I said, something is wrong with this picture. We have to flip the script. I'm going to my bed in peace, knowing God is pleased with me, and I'm going to state what God tell me to state, whether or not I am accepted. Now, with that mindset, and facing some level of rejection at times, of course I go to my bed crying and be like, Lord, why don't they believe that what I said was from you? You know, I'm dramatic. I'm very dramatic. So I have all these emotions, but I was carry them to the Lord and be like, Lord, don't understand people who say they call by your name and living for you and not believing your word, and the story will continue. However, I realized that in choosing that pathway of God being pleased and coming to God, crying about it until I learned to grow, where I understand that the response of men is irrelevant to the word of God. I realized that I rather to grow in that process of knowing who I am by coming to God and crying to God with my frustrations, my burdens, I can't do this, Lord. I felt like I've been deceived. That pathway I know was better than me pleasing mankind and God, being upset with me. So in going through that part, that process of knowing myself in God and saying, Lord, just teach me to know that once you're with me, and if mankind don't understand, then just to keep going and keep trusting you. And believe it or not, recently I was up to about 2 a.m. in the morning, and I had to cry out every feeling and the pain of rejection. I had to just cry it out of my system, because I realized that there was a need in my soul to be accepted by humans, by the human race, be accepted by people. And I had to cry it out. And when I woke up the morning, there was an opportunity again where I was being called to being in an environment where I would go through the same cycle of trying to prove myself to others, and I had to respectfully explain to the individual that I'm going through a place of healing with God. I just came to the mindset that I'm just going to allow God to just work on me, and I know myself in God independent of mankind. I say this to say not that I'm against others or my neighbors, because of course the Lord called me. Me being in front of a camera is because I'm called to impart, to encourage, to speak life into others. So in no way, shape and form am I speaking against being relatable to others or to have that connection with others. It's just that I realize that once you've come to a place in your life where you put that need on people and don't have it stabilized on God, that's where the issue. So I personally had to learn to put God, my emotion, that emotion, put it on God. Reshift. So it's not really about the people. People will be people, but just reshift and put myself on God. So it's an humbling experience. So this is where I'm at in my journey, just putting my emotions on God, putting the dreams, the visions, everything that God has spoken to me on Him. Once God say do it, I don't have to call and be like, what do you think about about this? Is this a great idea? What do you think? Through the door. Through the door. Through the door. I ain't doing it again. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I am just going with that passion that I prayed for in the beginning of my journey. God, give me an idea, and God said, go for it. I say, God, how are we going to accomplish this? How are we going to do this? So that's my vision. That's basically who I am. Is just a young lady seeking, relying, following the leading of the Lord. That's just it. Because if I come up with an explanation of who I am, and God says it's not it, I have to relearn that it's not it and develop a new mindset. So I just realized that I'm just following the Lord and just learning daily who He says I am. I say, Lord, I'm fearful. Lord said, nope, 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 nope. I'm like, but I'm trembling. Nope, none of that. You're not fearful. I did not program you to be fearful. Hey, my IT speaking, computing. I did not program you to be fearful. You're not fearful. Okay, God, I'm not fearful. So I have to learn to follow my Creator, to follow my Daddy. He knows me. He knows how He designed me. So, yes, this is just a snippet of who I am to date, who I was, and pressing on in God to who I really am. I can't say who I'm going to be, but it's really finding out the original plan of God for my life, for me. As I'm here, I'm not selfish. I just spoke about myself, but it's not for me to glorify myself. Of course, it's always meant to glorify God, and I say that not as a second thought. What came to my mind why I spoke like that is it's meant for you. It's meant for you to know that you have purpose and you have to fulfill it. You have a calling, you're designed by God, and you have to know when you hear the voices of negative, you'll be like, okay, even if I'm not strong enough to deal with it right now, you have to just note it like, okay, this is not of God. I may be struggling with it, but it's not of God. And then you say, God, even though I'm struggling and my knees are wobbling, help me out of this. So I'm just here encouraging you to God that it's your time to write your story, your life in God. You may have started, continue writing. You may be at the ideal version of yourself now, but He is greater. You're still living. You may be saying, I don't know where even to start. My environment, I'm the least of my family. I have all excuses. Trust me, I too have excuses. On one hand, I wasn't good enough. On another hand, I was too good enough. I didn't fit in. I never fit in. To this day, I don't fit in. But I have learned that that state of being is designed by God for a purpose. It's designed by God for a purpose. I had to come to that realization. So, people of God, man of God, woman of God, person who don't even know God, I'm just here to encourage you that yes, purpose is within you. Yes, you can make a difference. Yes, your difference may not be similar to mine, but I'm sure if God placed it in you to own a theater production company, own it. If God placed it in you to start a football team, a gospel explosion, or to write books, or to own your catering place, or to own a mansion to keep events for believers, or God has inspired you to own a field, of a large field of farm production with healthy organic foods, or maybe God has called you to host events and wedding, or maybe God has called you to be someone who designs shoes, dress code, who designs, even to think about planning a book that plans the pathway of others for their business. Maybe God has called you to do your own lotion production. My God, you're so much in God. Maybe God has called you to be a CEO, or to be promoted in a high place in a company. Hallelujah. I'm feeling God. Maybe God has called you for so much. It's so big. Oh, Jesus, I feel God. This world has so many places to fit you. And I'm telling you, you may say, my God, that hill looks so long and hard to climb. I'm climbing mine. Take the first step. I'm a firm believer in taking the first step. A lot of time we're told people start and don't finish. I want to just go back and say start. Just start. And the next day take another step and another step. Rain falls, sit down, cry it out. You may delay for a month. Lord, my speech. You may delay may be upon you for a while. Get up back again after the 3 steps and make the 4th. You can do it. You must do it. Time is of the essence. Look around. Look around. Run with it. Run with it. Just run with it. Music production in your bloodline, run with it. Just run with it. Because remember, there's room for you. This Bible, I'm speaking Bible, the Bible, God's word says your gift will make room for you. That means that if God placed a gift in you, even if He has placed a similar gift in your neighbor, your gift must make room for you. There has to be someone directly connected to your gift. God is a faithful God. God is a faithful God. Trust Him. Trust Him. Okay, so this is a glimpse of who I am. It's a glimpse of who I am, and thanks for watching Pain, Purpose in Time. So there's pain in a certain season, but then the purpose is there in that particular time. My challenge to you is to fulfill the purpose. You have been exposed to so many pain. Amen? Amen? Now, fulfill the purpose. Fulfill it. Heaven bless you. Heaven bless you. I'm going to enjoy this Saturday. I'm going to enjoy it. God bless. God bless.